Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to my office. Essentially, it's not very fancy. It gets the job done. I've got somewhere to sleep at least, and this is where I do most of my recording, my modeling, everything. So I wanted to show you today how to create your own tutorials. I wanted to give you some tips and tricks. I wanted to show you some application things. I wanted to tell you what sort of applications, microphones, etc. to use, and I wanted to tell you how to do your setup. So yeah, that's about all there is to it. I have Andrew Price branded drink here. No, actually, that's not it. But he seems to drink a lot of coffee. So yeah, first tip: always have something to drink when you're doing a tutorial, because your mouth is gonna get dry and you're gonna start talking like this, and your audience is gonna hate it and they're gonna turn it off. The first thing I'm gonna iterate is audience retention. You want to make your videos interesting, and you want to keep your audience engaged as good as possible and as long as possible. If your audience can't even get through your intro, well then you're already behind everybody else. So you want to keep your audience engaged, just have a quick intro, then your tutorial, then a quick outro. That's all there is to it. Go ahead and watch some professional tutorials like Mr. Price or something, and just get some tips, write them down, and then pick out what you do and don't like and go from there. So as to your setup, this is my main computer right here. It's got my webcam attached. It's my main rig at the moment. It's got, my basic setup, but I've also got a second monitor that I'll either use for an extra window when I'm modeling, or I might have Facebook open or something, of course, or I might have YouTube open on that window. And I also have a 32-inch high-def TV off to the far right here, and that's where I usually have my script set. One important thing is always write out your scripts beforehand. You can freestyle it like I am now, but you're going to have lots of uhs and ums, and you're going to have to do a lot of editing after, and that takes up time, for one, and it also makes your video jumpy, and it's just not professional. I mean, the best tutorial artists out there, they write their scripts out beforehand, then they go ahead and they go through their tutorial without doing any recording. They just practice their tutorial over and over and over until they basically have it down pat, and they don't even need a script. They essentially know what they're going to say, what they're going to click, how they're going to do something, and they know what they're going to do. So yeah, I usually have my script on my big TV monitor so that I can see the text a lot easier, and then if I don't know what I'm going to say next, I'll just quickly look over and go, oh yeah, okay, that's the next part that I'm going to talk about. At the same time, when you're working, always have something to write on. You always want to be keeping ideas down. Let me just see if I can quickly show you. For example, I have a ton of handwritten scripts there, and you're not going to be able to see these, but I have a ton of printed out scripts as well. So yeah, make sure you have somewhere that you can always write stuff down, because you're always going to have ideas. You're going to say, oh, I should do a video on that, and if you forget about it, well, it's lost until the next time you remember it, or if you're like me, you're not going to remember it at all. So always have somewhere to write down your ideas. It can be a text file. I use that a lot. Like I said, I have my script always sitting there, so I can always just quickly go and type in my idea. But I like to just quickly pick up a pen. It's always nice and handy, and then go and write down my ideas on my pieces of paper stuck to the wall. It's not very fancy, but it works. That's about all I can really tell you for your setup. Make sure you have a comfy chair. This one right here is like, I don't know, it's at least 5 or 6 years old. At least it reclines a bit and everything, but it's not very comfy at all. Get a nice lounge chair or an expensive office chair. It's really going to pay off in the end, not just for tutorials, but for sitting at your computer in general. If you're anything like me, you spend anywhere from 4 up to 16 hours a day doing modeling and whatever, and that gets uncomfortable when you're sitting in your chair, with your feet up, just sitting back, chilling, going, working on your stuff, and yeah, that gets hard on the back. It bends your spine out of whack. You're going to need appointments at the chiropractor to fix that, and it's not going to be very fun. So that's another thing. And lastly, always have some snacks on the go. You know, I always have something to eat because you're gonna get hungry and you're not gonna want to get up. Especially, like I said, if you're working on a tutorial, you're gonna want to pause quickly and eat something if you get hungry. And like I said, my A Price branded coffee drink. Always have something to drink because your mouth is gonna get dry and you don't want to have to either stop or pause your video, get up and get a drink, and then you're going to lose your train of thought. Have it right there so it's ready, and then you can just take a drink and either edit it out or have it as part of your videos like Mr. Price does, and it'll be part of your character. That's another thing. You need some sort of branding. You know, you got to create character to your videos. I'm not very good at this. I don't have a lot of character to me. I'm just a very basic, chill kind of person. I have no character to me. I don't have an accent. I don't have a cool look. I'm just your average kind of guy. So you have to have some sort of image or branding kind of idea that will get the audience to engage in your videos. Like I said, engagement retention is number one. I'm going to show you more about that later. So that's about all I can think of for setup at the moment, and then we'll get into some application work. So yeah, let's get into the actual screen recording, and you can stop looking at me, and then we'll get started on some ideas and how-tos about how to make a tutorial. One last thing that I wanted to go over before I left and got started officially, I guess. Have your system kind of set up professionally. For example, my background at the moment, it's not very professional. Okay, so you might want to change that for when you're doing tutorials, or else just don't have your background showing up unless it looks professional. Otherwise, you just look like an idiot. And so yeah, I end up having to do a lot of editing because I love my background being a 18 to 35-year-old male age range, and so I don't want to get rid of it. But yeah, have it professional looking. Have your files and folders already open if you need to have files and folders open. Have programs open if you need them open, and basically have everything ready. For example, the recording I did for my little intro, I have Camtasia open here. I personally use Camtasia, and I'm going to get more into that next. Yeah, have your programs ready, you know, so that you're good to go and you can instantly get into it. You know, here I'm going to show you how to work with Camtasia if that's what you're going to do. For example, if you're working with Blender, make sure you have Blender open. See, I don't have Blender open right now, so I couldn't tab into it real quick. I have Firefox open though, because I'm going to get into Camtasia and YouTube, so I have that open. But make sure that you have all your applications, all your folders, and everything else that you're going to need, like your scripts, ready and available, so that you're not, like I said, umming and ahhing and, oh, what is that? What was I thinking of? What was my train of thought? So yeah. Anyways, let's get started with how I record and edit my videos next. So, I already told you about the basics, and I want to get into doing the actual recording now. It doesn't matter if you're recording a Blender tutorial, a Unity tutorial, a coding tutorial, a World of Warcraft tutorial. If you're doing something off screen, this is kind of out of the range. This is more for screencasts when you're doing something on a computer how-to. If you're doing something like how to create wood sculptures, you're obviously going to need a camera and tripod setup and lighting and so on and so forth. But anyways, for my screencasts, I use Camtasia Studio. That's the setup you see here that I've had open the whole time. So if we open up Firefox, it's made by TechSmith. If you're not aware of Camtasia, it's fairly popular. It is a bit pricey, like it's $2.99. It was worth the investment to me because at first I tried using Fraps and I think Grabzilla, and I can't remember the names of all the free and really cheap ones because I deleted them all now. I did buy or download and try them, but I ended up sticking with Camtasia. I do have Adobe Premiere Pro 2014, I guess. I've purchased that earlier this year and it was extremely expensive. I haven't used it once. For one, I haven't learned how to use it, and number two, it's too much for what you need to make a tutorial. I mean, Camtasia basically does everything I need in high quality for a decent price. There are cheaper options out there, so all you have to do is go into Google and just type in, top screencast programs of 2013 or 2014, or what is the best software for creating screencasts. Something like that. Do your research. I spent about a day researching before I decided on Camtasia. So anyways, like I said, yeah, I use Camtasia. So this is the UI. It has this recording setup, which I'll just put off on my second monitor, and it has this nice audio setup, so I can go testing beforehand, and I can make sure I'm not clipping at all or too much. For example, if I speak like this and go and pop and top and like that, I'm gonna clip, so maybe I'll move my microphone a little bit. I use a headset at the moment. I want to get a desktop mic, but I just haven't found one that's suitable, that is high quality but also isn't gonna break the bank. It tells you your duration. You can pause and resume it. If you go, I hate this, I'm done with this, forget about it. You can just quickly hit the delete button, and when you hit stop, it asks you if you want to save it, and then you can edit it later, or if you just want to save and edit it right now, and then it'll bring you into this main window here. So anyways, like I said, I always have that sitting off on my other window, usually beside my script, so that I can hit pause and stop at any time, and I have my script right there, and I can always look over and go, oh, I'm 5 minutes in, oh, I'm 20 minutes in, I better stop now. And I have my script right there, so I can quickly look and see, oh yeah, okay, that's the next part, but I'm 17 minutes in, so I better start finishing things up as soon as possible. That's the nice thing about it. Also, it's very easy to use. Like, if you wanted to create multiple videos at once, all you got to do is just resize the windows, and it gives you nice guidelines, and you can also drag them to any size and position in your editing screen here. You see my webcam inlay, I can make that any size, and then it captures your system audio, and you can delete that. It's a separate track, so it does use the track-based system, and it captures your main audio that you record up here, and the audio and the video is one file. So if you cut out a part of the video, it also cuts out the audio, so that way you don't have to line up your audio and video. So that makes it very easy. And if you want to combine your system audio, say you had some sounds that played during the tutorial plus you're talking while you're doing the tutorial, and you wanna have them cut together, you can also group objects by selecting them both and right clicking and then grouping them, and that way you can just select and cut. And in Camtasia, it's nice and easy. I'll just make this a little bit bigger here so we can see all the tracks. All you do is you just drag one of the markers, and then you just hit cut, and it cuts that part right out. I've got a hotkey set up on my keyboard. I've got a nice backlit keyboard that has Marco set up. So I've got Marcos for Windows, Photoshop, Camtasia, Blender, and I think that's it. I've got one more, I can't remember what it's for. That's why I use Camtasia. It's very easy to use. It's very easy to import different video files. It's easy to do. You can do, we got zoom and pan if you want to zoom into a certain part of the screen. You can do callouts. You can have libraries of clips if you just want clips in. Like I said, you've got audio options. You've got noise removal and volume leveling. You can do the volume up and down, fade in, all your basic stuff, transitions, cursor effects, so you can every time you click somewhere on the screen, it'll automatically create a little effect. And you can also have clicking sounds created automatically. It also, if you don't use screencast keys, it'll also it'll create the screencast keys for you in Camtasia Studio. You got lots of stuff to play with, but it's so easy to use, but at the same time it has an advanced feature set. So it's kind of like Blender. It's extremely easy to use once you get used to it after a half hour, but if you really dive into it, it's got an extreme set of features. It's very, very powerful. So that's why I use Camtasia. And then it's nice and easy to export. You just go produce and share, and you can create as many different presets as you want. I just do 1080p MP4 at 80% quality with 128 kbps audio. Now the thing is, using something like Fraps or one of the free or very cheap screencast recorders is that they're going to record in either 24.97 or 25 frames per second. Some of the slightly more expensive, you know, the $40 up to $300 and up screen recording videos or programs, sorry, is that they record in 30 frames per second. So as you can see, if I move my mouse, it's nice and smooth. So you can see everything moving instead of, you see a lot of tutorials where it's jump, 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 because it's recording at a lot slower frames per second. It might be slowing your system down. Camtasia doesn't have that program, or that problem, sorry, because all it has is the recording program running, and like I said, it records in 30 frames per second. That's a great feature. So make sure your recording program records in at least near 30 frames per second. 25 it's pretty slow. You know what I mean? You can think of frames per second just like in a game. The higher, the smoother it's going to be. Same as your TV. It's like the refresh rate. The higher, the smoother the video is going to be. You can see like on my webcam, it's just cheap. It's just a $20 webcam. You can see that it's not very smooth because it's only recording in, I don't know, 20, 25 frames per second. So, you know, things, if I move really fast, you're not going to be able to tell and see very easily. So yeah, that has to do with what program you're going to use to do your recording. Like I said, invest a little bit of money is what I suggest, but you don't have to get started. It's just that if you want to create a following and a fan base, you need to be somewhat professional. So let's get on to the next part, creating the actual tutorial. Alright, so let's say I'm doing a Blender tutorial. So I'm going to open up Blender here. And you can do a tutorial for anything. Unity, you can do Visual Studio, you can do Blender, you can do anything that interests you basically. And that's what I want to bring up first, is do something that interests you. If you want to do how to do Photoshop stuff, how to code, how to create video games, how to do web design, etc., etc. Create something that interests you. For example, I enjoy Blender, I enjoy modeling, so I do a lot of Blender tutorials. I also like to use Unity, I'm learning it, so I do the odd Unity tutorial, and I'm also learning a lot about coding, so I do the odd coding tutorial. Those things interest me. Now, delving a little further into that, for example, in this Blender file here that I've been working on for the last few days, I enjoy music. I've been playing guitar for years and years and years now. I think 15 years now, you know, since I was like 13, 15, 16 years old, something like that. I've been playing guitar, so, you know, that interests me. So I've been putting a lot of work into this product, and if you're making a tutorial about it, it's going to be a lot easier because you're going to know about it and you're going to be interested in it is the number one thing. You want to be interested in it. I love airplanes. I have my private pilot's license. So say I wanted to do a tutorial on how to model an airplane, or what are the best websites for, you know, I don't know, like weather tracking or whatever. Do something that interests yourself. And that way any audience viewers that are interested in it are going to be as interested as you, because you're going to put your soul into it because you're that interested into it. Alright, once you get into the program that you're going to be doing the tutorials in, let me just start a new Blender file, for example. Like I said, make sure you're ready to go and have everything set up. So if I was going to be doing a basic tutorial, I would have just a setup screen like this, but you'll see I'm not ready to go because I don't have screencast keys started. So make sure you do that beforehand, otherwise you're going to have either stuff to edit out, or you're going to be 10 minutes into your video and you're going to forget about it, and then you're going to have to start over and you're going to be mad, and it's going to just, your mojo's going to be off essentially. By the way, does anyone use screencast, like, does anyone actually look at the screencast keys to see what people are doing? So anyways, yeah, have your setup ready so that when you're ready to make your tutorial, you're good to go. You know, let's say I'm gonna make something about say I'm gonna make 2 eyeballs. You know, maybe you want to have your 2 spheres ready, like that. Say you're gonna make a character tutorial. You know, have some of your stuff set up maybe if that's what you need, and that'll save you having to do it, you know, at the beginning and just sitting there going, okay, I'm going to set up my scene now, guys. People don't want to watch that. People want to see you actually doing things. I'm bad for this sometimes. I try to edit that out as much as possible, but that's one thing to think about. See, my mouth is getting dry, so I gotta take a sip now. Oh, it's still hot. Oh, you know that 8 price coffee is always hot. It's the best quality coffee in the world. Anyways, so I've gone over prepping scripts and such. I've gone over how to set up your area, your desktop area. I've gone over how to set up your desktop, your professional background, have everything ready to go, etc. Another thing to think of is your sound quality. I use just this cheap headset that I've had for probably about 10 years also. It works, but it's not the best quality. Like I said, I want to upgrade this, but it's what I had when I decided one day, hey, I want to start doing Blender tutorials. I love educating people, and I love Blender. So I use this little headset here. It works. It's not the most comfortable, but it works, and it's not horrible audio quality. So think about that, and that's really all you can think about in your actual program. Create a tutorial about something that interests you is the main idea there, and have everything ready. That's the second main idea. So what we're going to get into now is YouTube. So you've got your video created, you've edited it in your program, say Camtasia Studio, you've encoded and saved it somewhere, you've gone to the upload page, and you've uploaded it. It's processed, it's ready to go. What next? Let me just select a quick file to upload here, for example. So when you're uploading your videos to YouTube, the first thing is create a title that's gonna bring your viewers in. Again, this goes to the viewer retention idea. So create something interesting like how to import and use audio in Unity. It's simple, it's short, it tells what it's gonna be about, and it's not extremely lengthy and hard to read, because people are just going to be scanning over the YouTube page and they don't want to have to read these huge long titles, So usually I just go, audio basics Unity tutorial. So it's simply 4 words, nice and easy. People can read it quickly. They can basically just scan over it and see it. That's how the English language works, and they might click on it. If you do something different, like say how to import different kinds of audio and change settings in Unity version 4.5.5 F1, then people aren't going to read the whole thing. They're not going to know what it's about, and it's just going to get skipped over in the YouTube list. So simple title, to the point. I'm going to type that in so you can see it. Next, have some default settings. So you can see by default when I upload, it says if you want a hard copy of this video, comment and I'll upload it to my server. And then at the end it just says please subscribe for more videos. If you liked it, like it. If you didn't like it, please tell me why. If you need to, you can email me at this email. Thanks, from Blender Tech Team. So that's my default upload. And by default, my tags are also how to, tips, tricks, tutorial, advice, guide, help, how do I help with. And YouTube is great. Its suggested tags are almost perfect. So the more tags you have, the better. But at the same time, don't use stupid tags, because you are limited to the number of tags you can use. So use tags that relate to your tutorial in some way, but at the same time, they're not stupid. Like for Blender, I wouldn't do something like graphic design, because while it might be graphic based, you're not doing actual graphic design. So that's a waste of a tag. You want tags that are related to it, something that a user is going to search up. Lastly, make sure you have a separate playlist for everything. As you can see, I have Unity 3D tutorials, I have Blender Hero to Zero series, I have Blender Quick Tips, I have Tips and Tricks Tuesdays, I have Blender Basic tutorials, I have random clips, I have Learn to Code, and then of course my favorites playlist. So make sure you have a separate playlist for every type of tutorial you're going to do. That keeps things organized. Organization is key. In all my tutorials, I always emphasize this. Organize everything. It's going to make your life simpler. This is a life tip, actually. What am I talking about? Organization is key to life. If your life is organized, if YouTube is organized, if your computer is organized, you're going to have a much easier time. So you've got everything done, it's ready to upload, you've created a description. So for your description, you want a hook. A hook is simply, if you remember from English class in high school, a hook is something that hooks the viewer in the first little, the first bit. Now this is applicable to description, this is applicable to intros and videos. So you might start off your video like, hey guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you about how to create a World War I airplane in Blender. I actually have my private pilot's license, so this is very interesting to me. I enjoy airplanes a lot, and so I really enjoy this. So I'm going to be making a tutorial about how to create a World War I biplane in Blender today. Let me tell you a story about one time when I was flying my Cessna 172 in the air, and we caught some turbulence, and I dropped 6,000 feet in 2 seconds, and all of a sudden the plane was rocking back and forth. My yaw was going all over. I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out. You know, maybe some sort of quick story. That's a good way to hook people in for your videos. But for descriptions, you can only use text, obviously. So create something like, this tutorial will show you how to do this. You will learn this. Because as you know from YouTube, you're only going to see the first couple lines. So your first couple lines have to describe the entire video, what it's about and what they're going to learn. Because that's what a tutorial or guide is for. What you're going to show and what the user is going to learn. So everything's ready to go. You're ready to upload. If you're a YouTube partner and you want to monetize it with ads, make sure you've got that checked off. By stock, it automatically is. If you don't want ads, uncheck that, obviously. And then in advanced settings, you've got a few things. You can, like I said, you can set up the defaults by this in your dashboard settings. If you want an age restriction, for example, if my background showed up accidentally or I swore a lot because I got mad during my tutorial. The recording date, though, is never automatically put there. So I suggest you just hit today. That way it'll know when it's recorded. And I forget that sometimes, then I have to go and remember, oh, when did I record that video? So that's just one last thing to think about. And then when it's ready to go, choose a thumbnail that's eye-catching and hit publish. On the topic of thumbnails, make sure you have eye-catching thumbnails. As you can see, the stock thumbnails that generated kind of suck. It's just pictures of the videos. Let me quickly go into my video manager to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to close out of that because we're done with the uploading basics. Oh, I created this now. Good thing. I'm going to delete that after. As you can see, I haven't created a thumbnail for this lesson yet, so it looks very basic. It doesn't catch the eye. But as you can see, my Blender secret tips and tricks thumbnail that I've created, it's got the most views. You know, I uploaded this just last night, and it's already got 13 views. And you know, as you can see, I uploaded this one 2 days ago, and it's got 40 views. So having these eye-catching thumbnails seem to create the most views. And you see this one I just created in 5 seconds in Paint quickly. Well, it's only got 3 views and I uploaded it a week ago almost. So yeah, spend 5 minutes in Photoshop or Paint. I actually use Paint most of the time. Or download paint.net. It's basically an advanced Paint. It's like the GIMP, but with less features and easier to use. It's got the ease of use of Paint with the features of the GIMP. So download paint.net and just make a basic thumbnail for each of your videos. YouTube has a lot of documentation on good upload practices, but for thumbnails it suggests 1280 by 720p. I really think that's about it. So yeah, that's about all there is to uploading. So now you've uploaded a ton of videos, you've got a slight fan following, you're starting to make a little bit of money to offset some costs, and you want to know if you're doing a good or bad job. One of the most important things you can do is not your ad earnings, is not your views, but you go here under views reports and you click on audience retention. And that brings up some things. It says your average view duration. So that says how long does the average viewer spend on your videos, and then the percentage next to it is how much of the videos does the average viewer watch. So in this example, as you can see, my chair is not very comfortable. I hate it. I need to buy a new one today as soon as possible. I'm actually going to look at a nice comfy fat recliner later today. But anyway, so my average viewer at the moment watches 3 minutes and 10 seconds of my videos, which happens to be on average 21% of my videos. And as you can see from this graph, if you go from the first dot to the last dot, it's slowly rising. So I'm slowly getting better and better at my videos, and I'm slowly captivating, engaging my audience more and more. That's why they call it audience retention. This is the most important. And then if you scroll down to videos, it tells you what your most popular videos are, and you can do by minutes watched, by average view duration, but an average percentage viewed. I'm going to say that the two most important things are actually average view duration and average percentage viewed. So if you want to know what kind of tutorials do my viewers like, what should I upload more of, pick something that has a high view duration and a high average percentage viewed. So for example, my Blenders Tips and Tricks Tuesday series, that's my most popular. My users view most of it, about 50% of it on average, and they watch around 6 to 10 minutes of those videos. So that tells you what you should be uploading more of, but don't just concentrate on that entirely, just use that as a guideline. So YouTube Analytics is a great place to find out what you should be uploading more of and how you can improve. But also don't forget to view comments to find out what users are talking about in regards to your videos, and also always respond to comments. Always say, hey, thanks for the input, and if they say something bad, say, oh, I didn't realize, I want to fix that right away. For example, I uploaded a video that had some music in the background for some reason while I was talking, and one guy said, I turned it off after 2 seconds because I couldn't stand the music over your talking. And so I said, yeah, actually, that makes sense, but I never thought about it. So I got rid of all the music from all my videos, period. I decided I'll just have the talking, and that's it. Because it's a tutorial. It's like you were in class. So that's something else to think about. I think I'm going to leave it off there because we're getting to quite a long tutorial now for how to create a tutorial. That's kind of backwards. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will just make a little quick addition. I won't make it this long. I won't ramble as long. If you need some more specifics, like I said, let me know. Any questions, let me know. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see some actual tutorials, and like the video if this actually helped you. See you later, guys.